We often idolize celebrities and place them upon their pedestals, glorifying them and praising them for the good that they do. Sometimes, though, we're reminded celebrities are human too, and as such, may have a darker side as well. Before he wore a black suit and tie, before he went wild in the Wild West, Will Smith was a young wild kid who went by the name Fresh Prince, and just like royalty, he would have others to do his dirty work. The dirty work in question? That of a 1989 assault, brutal beating, and near blinding of record producer William Hendrix, taking place in Will's hometown of Philadelphia, days after his first Grammy win with DJ Jazzy Jeff. Engaging in an argument rarely results in stitches, let alone a fractured left eye orbit. Unfortunately for Hendrix, that was the case, after Will had ordered his bodyguard to brutally beat Hendrix, and the bodyguard did just that. Police responded and arrested then 20-year-old Smith and charged him with aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, simple assault, and criminal conspiracy, stating that none of this was his fault, and he was guilty by association alone. The following day, all charges were dropped, and Will was released as a free man once again. Elvis Presley had been openly accused of many things, from stealing music from the black culture to drug abuse with history of violence. Seldom does dirt slide between the cracks far enough it lays out of public view. This is the case for old swingin' hips Elvis and his love for immensely underage women. According to Elena Nash, author of Baby Let's Play House, Elvis Presley and the Women Who Loved Him, he could have picked any women to be his, but for some reason he only wanted little girls. Brent D. Taylor, as well as others, would be documented in saying, Elvis's closest female relationships were usually with young girls of around 13 or 14, ending as they reached late teens. He didn't have sex with these young girls, but had pajama parties, pillow fights, and indulged in girl talk. Then in 1959, Elvis, who was then 24 years old, was stationed in Germany while serving in the US Army, where he'd meet and begin dating 14-year-old Priscilla. He would ask her to join him on tour, but her parents wouldn't allow it, though they had no problem with them continuing their courtship until they were wed in 1967. Mark Wahlberg would begin his career in 1991 when he debuted as Marky Mark as the frontman of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and would later drop the stage name and become an award-winning actor. Before all of that, he was known for a history of violence and racism. In 1986, at age 14, Mark Wahlberg had a civil rights action brought against him by the Massachusetts Attorney General, who sued him and two of his friends for throwing rocks and yelling racial slurs at three black school children. It would continue to spawn a history of racism and violence, from his beating of two Vietnamese men, leaving one almost blind, while he beat the other with a stick in 1988. Oh yeah, how about that time in 1992 when he beat a security guard so badly he had to have his jaw wired shut? He managed to reach an outside settlement mere days before court. Doing so would help him avoid all criminal charges. As if all that wasn't enough, in a 2010 segment of 60 Minutes, he said he used to steal cars, roll rich kids while freebasing cocaine by age 13. John Wayne, as red, white, and true as America herself. At a surface glance, he certainly seems so. Considered a legacy and the embodiment of what's considered all that is man. This famous cowboy also had a darker side you seldom hear about. In an interview with Playboy, John Wayne went on record saying, "With a lot of blacks, there's quite a bit of resentment along with their descent, and possibly rightfully so. But we can't all of a sudden get down on our knees and turn everything over to the leadership of the blacks. I believe in white supremacy until the blacks are educated to the point of responsibility. I don't believe in giving authority and positions of leadership and judgment to irresponsible people." Sure doesn't sound like the America I want represented. So call it a product of a different generation if you want, but regardless of what you call it, it's still racist. Former left-winger, Welsh native, football coach, co-owner of Salford City and assistant manager at Manchester United. Though all of those things, Ryan Giggs has a darker, more manipulative side as well. Considered to be perhaps one of the greatest football players to date, it's hard-pressed to find those with unflattering words about Ryan. That is, until you ask his family. Differing far from the public opinion concerning Ryan, his father Danny Wilson and brother Rodri Giggs would have a less savory portrait to paint, the star would soon face a grim reality, as involvement in an affair between he and then wife of his brother Rodri, Natasha Giggs. Reports claim the affair went on for 8 years, and Ryan even impregnated his sister-in-law. In attempts to cover this vile act of betrayal to his brother, he met in secret with Natasha to plan an abortion just 2 days before she would be wed to his brother, biking all the way to her house to give her the £500 it would cost. As if this list of travesties hadn't been enough, he even tried to bribe Natasha to cover this story from the news and even his brother. Though it took Ryan 4 years after the 8-year affair, Ryan would eventually come to apologizing to his brother, albeit in a cowardly manner. Ryan claimed he had done his brother a favor by revealing the type of woman Natasha truly was.